This is New Mexico Frontiers, presented by Veris Research.
Hello and welcome to New Mexico Frontiers, a new series celebrating the spirit of innovation developed right here in the land of enchantment. We start off with a company that is employing artificial intelligence in the fight against crime, utilizing software that can learn about a population's unique challenges. Now, this startup is already affecting change right here in the city of Albuquerque.
Seeing the sound of crime, whether it's a nuisance, like loud mufflers firing off, or something more severe, artificial intelligence could play a role in the way we fight crime, not in the future, but now.
I love New Mexico, I love living here, but we have a lot of problems, right?
Eric Strobert is CEO of Perspective Components, a startup that initially set out to develop smartphone cameras. However, the pandemic caused many eager investors of a startup established in 2017 to pump the brakes on their support.
So we found ourselves running out of money and with no potential investors, and that's what motivated us to pivot away from camera technology altogether.
In the fall of 2020, they created their breakout product, NoiseView, a modest-looking contraption with a small microphone and computer system. What's revolutionary about this product is its software.
The magic is each one of those computers is running our machine learning software, and this is essentially artificial intelligence that has been trained on our proprietary data set.
Now, the software can be taught and adapt to recognize certain sounds like loud mufflers, broken glass, altercations, gunshots, even catalytic converter thefts, all saving time and money on component replacement.
Instead of us going out and having to replace expensive sensors and hardware, we simply update our software and push it over the internet.
The city of Albuquerque is just one in their base of growing clientele. In addition to noise cameras deployed at fleet management areas and parking structures, Albuquerque City Council passed a resolution in December of 2022 to develop a pilot program that will employ more of these cameras to combat noisy vehicles in the metro.
Right now our technology is really well suited to the American urban soundscape, and we expect to have nationwide adoption within the next 2 to 3 years.
In addition to the ability of teaching software sound triggers, Strobert says their eye on the bottom line makes NoiseView attractive to numerous governmental agencies.
They're cities or states or police forces, and they're not spending their own money, they're spending your money, they're spending my money, they're spending the public's money, right?
As AI continues to integrate into a variety of applications, Strobert and his company feel that they are on the cutting edge of providing solutions that won't break the bank while making cities like Albuquerque safer.
And if we're successful, that will mean, tangible results to our community. And, that's priceless to me.
New Mexico has played a prominent role over the years when it comes to space exploration. And as the final frontier gets more players in the game, one nonprofit is looking to create a nexus of space professionals with the land of enchantment at its center.
Humanity is in the midst of a celestial revolution. Companies like Virgin Galactic are pushing the boundaries of how we understand and explore the heavens. But we've come a long way to stand on the precipice of commercial space travel. Considered by most to be the father of modern rocketry, Robert Goddard brought his research to New Mexico in 1930. His contributions to the technology were later seen in the V-2 rocket. 100 of the German-engineered weapons were transported to White Sands after World War II as part of Operation Paperclip. The research that happened in the late 1940s led to next-generation vehicles, like the rockets that ultimately took men to the moon. Fast forward to 1982, and White Sands again was front and center, with Space Shuttle Columbia touching down after being diverted from Edwards Air Force Base in California. And in 2011, Spaceport America opened its doors for business, ushering in a new chapter for space industry.
New Mexico's skin in the game is firing up yet again, thanks in large part to the nonprofit organization New Space Nexus.
I just saw so many companies having such trouble navigating that behind the fence and not being able to get to all these federal assets to help them grow. So I saw an opportunity to leave the Air Force, retire, and then start New Space New Mexico. And I really wanted it to be a support to the space industries.
Former Air Force Research Labs engineer Casey Durad established New Space New Mexico with 3 basic goals.
The first goal was we need to build some kind of council or some kind of gathering of where all these organizations come together.
Thus, the New Space Alliance was born, which now has 240 organizations involved. The second goal was to get organizations connected to each other. And the third, get these organizations connected to funders.
So there's a lot of sort of government contracting. There's a lot of intellectual capital with, Sandia Labs, Los Alamos Labs. There's a lot of intellectual capital that they can start using and setting up their company and getting support and mentoring.
This spring, New Space adopted a new moniker, New Space Nexus.
Now, the nonprofit's goal is to link these satellite businesses, so to speak, with one another, creating a thriving nexus of space professionals here in New Mexico.
We're going to really kind of push out, show off what we have here.
And what we have here are nationally recognized institutions for research and development, universities training the next generation of STEM professionals, and a home base in New Space, bringing it all together.
We really want to do this in partnership with the space companies, but then bring the companies down to help mentor and inspire and keep the pathway going all the way to the stars.
New Space Nexus isn't just helping titans of the space industry reach the stars. A group of aspiring astronauts recently returned from Virginia, where they competed on a national stage with like-minded students from across the country.
3, 2, 1.
It's a successful launch on a crisp Sunday morning. The deserts outside of Albuquerque are ground zero for a rocket traveling 200 miles an hour. But the pilot, payload specialists, and programmers haven't even hit high school. Meet the Star Destroyers, a rocketry team sponsored by Safer New Mexico. The team of 7 middle schoolers from Desert Ridge are gearing up for an even bigger launch near Washington, D.C.
Trying to take the lessons learned that I learned at work and then pass them to my kids. So as they get older, they'll be kind of the elite level employee.
Jason Sievert works for the Air Force Research Labs, and in his limited spare time, he's teaching this young group of students, including his son Merrick and daughter Kennedy,
It gets multiplied by 4.
the skills of science, technology, engineering, and math in a hands-on, real-world environment.
I'll walk by, I'm like, what are you doing, Merrick? And he's showing me all this code and how he's doing trigonometry with it. I'm like, okay. And
The team is headed to Virginia for the American Rocketry Challenge in May, a competition bringing together 100 middle and high school teams from across the nation.
The teams must meet a series of in-flight requirements, designing, building, and launching a model rocket up to 850 feet, carrying a payload of 1 raw egg, and maintain flight between 42 and 45 seconds. The twist is that the rocket must separate into 2 parts after reaching the highest point of flight, or apogee, and return safely to the ground.
And it's very, very difficult. Every foot above or below, they'll get a point, and for the time, missing the time, they'll get points. So they're trying for a score of 0 points. This year they qualified, they flew a 13-point flight and a 17-point flight, which is extremely good.
We call it.
Getting this team, the only one from the state of New Mexico, to Virginia isn't cheap. Sievert estimates it will cost around $10,000 to get there. That's where New Space New Mexico stepped in.
They have the most amazing design. They came and presented to our team, and we have a few engineers on the team, including myself. And these are young kids, middle school. So they're our future. So of course we had to sponsor them.
New Space, a nonprofit based here in Albuquerque, is working to reinvigorate the space industry in the state. Sievert says New Space connected his team with a number of sponsors and helped to build a website for their fundraising endeavors.
And they were ecstatic and absolutely willing to help us.
We really need to be inspiring young kids, even, 1st through 5th grade, middle school, and then keep them involved through internships, and then they'll be ready for that job placement, as they go on through their high school and college careers.
The winner of this rocket challenge will receive $100,000 in prizes and an all-expense-paid trip to compete in the International Rocketry Challenge at the Paris Air Show in June. And while these young aviators have their eyes on the big prize, their advisors reaping the rewards of this work right now.
Now that I've got my kids old enough to learn how to do this stuff, I encourage them to continue it. And this is just a great avenue to to push some of these ideas.
The organization ultimately raised close to $12,000 and were able to show their designs to senators, legislators, and engineers from NASA. Fitness apps have grown in popularity over the last few years, but they are not accessible to everyone. That's where TrueFit Adaptive Fitness comes in, making sure that no athlete is left behind.
We're going to go left shoulder, right shoulder.
Navy veteran John White leads a virtual class from his studio in San Diego.
The reason I got out of the Navy was to pursue a career in fitness and wellness.
High kick, high kick.
His clientele tune in from places like England, France, Germany, even Nigeria.
We're reaching and we're pulling.
But the athletes he focuses on face more than just distance in their fitness challenges.
All right, now, Chris, I want you to take control.
We're at a point as a society, as humans, to where we don't have to leave anybody behind.
This is something.
John and his brother Adam, who lives in Tijeras, founded TrueFit Adaptive Fitness in 2010. After John began working with the ARC of San Diego, he discovered a large gap within the fitness community for athletes with different needs.
There wasn't really a blueprint for this. And when you looked at the fitness industry, there really wasn't a lot of attention that was coming this direction.
The brothers turned from their original plan of developing sports equipment to focus their efforts on helping what he calls a ghost population.
I always try to put myself in their shoes as much as possible, but I also recognize that I can't see the world from their perspective.
And let's just bring that left arm up.
Chris Hill and his mother, Esther Coit, have been TrueFit athletes for several years now. Chris has spastic quadriplegia, a form of cerebral palsy that severely affects the muscles in the arms, legs, and torso.
Since he was born, we have been very driven to make sure that his body is in good enough and the best condition.
Chris works out both virtually and in person with the TrueFit program at least 3 times a week. He also helps John with classes from time to time, demonstrating the workouts for other athletes.
Bring it around, Chris. There you go, man.
My body feels a lot better than last year.
Chris hadn't been in physical therapy for a couple of years because of the pandemic, but we'd always kept up with his physical activity through TrueFit. And we were able to go back to physical therapy recently, and she was amazed at his strength and ability that not only had it not diminished, it had increased since our physical therapy, since his PT absence.
There you go, Chris.
And that is strictly because of TrueFit.
And TrueFit's community is growing, both in person and online. The smartphone and tablet app launched in 2022. Their YouTube channel continues to grow both in subscribers and content, and they'll be available on a web-based app and smart TVs in the near future.
My goal, hopefully is to be able to get 100% participation with MCOs that provide Medicare options throughout all 50 states.
Let's go 10.
For athletes like Chris, TrueFit has been a priceless tool in maintaining a healthy mind and body.
It's really important to get your family involved first.
And since its inception, TrueFit has been all about family.
A grandfather of this young lady who, we had been working with, and I had worked with her a lot, he came up and gave me a hug, and he was in tears. And he was like, "You have no idea what you and your brother have done for my granddaughter."
Breathe in your best and breathe out the worst.
TrueFit is now being offered through the Presbyterian Health Plan, available to subscribers for just $10 a month. Part of Verus Research's mission is to find and cultivate the best homegrown engineering talent, which they did with a man whose journey to the stars began behind bars.
A series of invisible signals ricochets in random directions, thanks to these plates. The goal is to gain a greater understanding of operations in an environment of uncertainty. And while understanding unpredictability is now part of 40-year-old Frank Salas's job, it's worlds apart from the uncertainty his life was full of just a decade ago.
Where I come from, there's a lot of people that have done time or still do time.
Born and raised in Bernalillo, Salas set off on what he calls the wrong path at an early age.
Each measurement will do that. I started selling dope in high school, and that was just kind of like the path I wanted to be on.
At the age of 20, he was arrested for selling crack cocaine to an undercover DEA agent, which resulted in a conviction and a 10-year sentence to federal prison.
There was people I knew when I went in, and it was just kind of I don't know, it's kind of like, oh, it's my turn now. As stupid as that sounds, that's just kind of like the mindset.
Salas spent the next years bouncing from location to location in the federal prison system. Then, 5 years into his sentence while incarcerated in Kentucky, he came across a book about quantum mechanics.
I wouldn't say my mind completely changed at that point, but it started to shift. I started to get a little bit more philosophical with myself, ask myself different questions about life and just kind of like things I never thought about, you know.
That book, along with friendships forged in prison, led him to think about a future outside of the walls of the penitentiary. Having served 9 of his 10-year sentence, Frank was released in 2012.
When I got out of prison, I had nothing. I literally 27 cents that was left over on my commissary account. When I got out, I had a bag of like soaps and a bag of my favorite books.
With the help of his family and friends, Frank slowly built a new life for himself. He quickly enrolled at C&M. From there, he moved on to UNM, where he graduated in 2016. After that, he was accepted to the graduate program at the University of Michigan, earning his master's degree in electrical engineering. Now the uncertainty of his life had a different tone. Where to work, where to live, where to start his new life and raise his family. While working in Houston, Frank and his family came back to Albuquerque for a holiday visit. And while shopping at Best Buy on the city's east side, he noticed the modest signage of this building across the parking lot.
And I just saw the Verus Research logo on that building, and I was like, I wonder what that is. And I pulled up their website, and it's like, oh, shoot, they do like electromagnetics. Oh, they have a job opening for an RF engineer. And then I applied, and the ball just rolled like super fast.
Verus Research's staff is predominantly New Mexican, with nearly 70% of their employees hailing from the state. With his new job in what he calls an ego-free collaborative environment, Frank was able to relocate his growing family back home. And these days, the journey into uncertainty is confined to his research at Verus. His wife,
she's been there through it all,
and his 5-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son are at the center of a life now driven by purpose.
I get off of work and it's kid time. You know, I play cheetah cubs with my daughter, where she's like baby cheetah and I'm daddy cheetah. And then my son, he's a 2-year-old, so he just kind of crawls around meowing and stuff. And the rest of the time my daughter's dictating, telling us what to do, but it's just playtime.
Verus was recently awarded a $203 million contract through the U.S. Army. It's the largest contract in the company's history. It will aid in the development of defense capabilities, particularly with directed energy, electronic warfare, and nuclear systems. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of New Mexico Frontiers. If you'd like more information on these stories and more, just head over to KRQE.com. Thanks for joining us.